welcome to this morning. We are at Maker Fair in the TWorks Hyderabad. This is day 2 of Maker Fair, one of the only events across India in which making with your hands, making with your mind, and the combination of your mind and hands is at work. This is an event which definitely calls for a celebration for people to come to witness and experience for themselves. And since yesterday we have seen how families have come, how children have come, the huge amount of curiosity about Maker Fair, and hopefully this experiment, which is organized for the 3rd time in India, in Hyderabad, will be replicated across the country. With us,
yes, thank you so much. I'm very happy to be here. So Maker Fair is a global event. It happens across the world in Tokyo, Shenzhen, Shanghai, Paris, Rome, and all over the United States. The idea of such an event is to celebrate making, is to celebrate innovation and creativity, and like you rightly put it, is to celebrate the things that are made, or the process of making things with a combination of your mind and your hands. So my feeling is, we started in 2018. We wanted to bring this to India, to Hyderabad, and one of the major features of Maker Fair, it's a very collaborative event. Most of the events you go to, it is, either engineering heavy, or particularly mechanical engineering heavy, or electronics engineering heavy, or there's a focus on defense, or it is purely art. Maker Fair, especially at TWorks, is probably the only place where you see a combination of art, science and engineering all in one place. And that is when people appreciate that any product you build is a combination of all these three. And that is, the larger goal for TWorks is to create a culture around making, so that one of the outcomes of that culture will be startups coming out with world-class products, companies doing R&D being able to compete globally with the Apples and the Teslas of the world. So it's very important to showcase people who are already in the culture, so that we can inspire thousands of more people to take that direction.
this integration of art, integration of design into technology is something we have heard often. And I'm so glad that Maker Fair is attending that. How is this process being effective, and what kind of measures are you taking to ensure that this long-term goal of marrying craft and artisanships with technology is more effective and is passed on to a wider section of population?
I think there are two things that we have to do, two approaches that we have to take parallelly. The first approach is bring awareness that product development is never done in isolation. So that's when events like Maker Fair really help. The second thing we do is put that theory into practice, and we do that by ourselves building products, and by co-innovating with our users and our customers. So when our users come here to build products with us, we work with them to some extent, we educate them, we show them products we built in the past, and tell them while engineering is essential, that is what brings the functionality, design, the user experience actually takes it a level up. So for example, if you see the evolution of our own products, we built the mechanical ventilator during the first wave of COVID. It was designed by our mechanical engineers, so it looks a little boxy, but it worked very well in the hospital. It was tested on a patient. Then during the second wave, we built an oxygen concentrator. This is when we had our design team, in-house design team. And then GE Appliances came forward to procure some of them, and we worked with them to co-innovate this product. Recently, we are working with some international agencies. One of them is in the non-profit area. They work in the disaster relief area. So they came to us and said, hey, can you design a disaster relief kit that can be quickly deployed to areas affected by natural disasters? So while we were working on this project, of course, unfortunately, an earthquake struck in Nepal, and we were able to ship it. Now, this product has almost zero technology. It is all design, but it is designed so that the user is comfortable in those areas. So I think it's a combination of awareness and putting theory into practice. And the more we put the theory into practice, the better we get at it. And it is not only our team that's building the products, we are building it in collaboration with 200 other partners, suppliers, freelancers, and our own customers. So I think it's a two-pronged approach we use.
Now, where does the origin of the idea, the necessity come in? Necessity, the mother of invention. So how does the origin of necessity, where is the idea coming from, and how do you manage to be a part of it? How do you manage to utilize the facility here of various machines, various design elements, and how does this kind of an integration happen between the necessity on one hand and your ability to deliver them on the other?
Okay, that's an interesting question, and I think many people have that question. So some students came in yesterday and they said, we want to design an e-bike. Can we start making it? So I just said two things. I said, one, what is your end goal? If your end goal is to start a business, then there is a lot of research that has to go in before you even put pen to paper. You have to study the market, you have to study the viability of it as a business, you have to know whether you have a product market fit. Now, if you do something like that, then places like T-Hub exist, incubators exist, for you to help you understand the business viability part of it. Like you said, whether there is a necessity for that invention. But the second point is, as kids, as youngsters, as passionate individuals, we want to do things that excite us. Creating is innately human. So we have a lot of art pieces kept across the venue, right? Built by artists. They don't really do it because they found a gap in the market or they have a product market fit. They do it because it's their passion. And the advantage of that is you get going, and it is a learning process. It's a stepping stone. In the process of pursuing your passion, you fail a few times and you build multiple products, you build multiple prototypes, not with the intent of having a business, but because you love it. And there are many famous sayings, even in the famous Amir Khan movie, where he said, you pursue excellence, success will follow you. And that's the whole intent. See, we've kept all our walls are made of glass, they are transparent, because we want people not to be intimidated by machinery. We want to tell them it's not that difficult to build hardware. Once they have that passion, our job is to spark that passion. Once they have that passion, learning resources are abundantly available. You start building for the sake of learning, then suddenly you realize that you've become a good engineer, a good designer, a good maker, and you see possibilities all around you. So you believe in yourself, you believe in your own skill, and then I can solve this problem, I can solve that problem. Problems are abundant. I think what we are trying to say is everyone has the ability to solve that problem, and we want to lower barriers for you to build products that solve that problem.
At what stage of the design expertise or the skilling of design is available at TWorks? Because we have a large group of youngsters coming here, and their innovation, their ideas may be excellent, but they also need a kind of an molding into really high quality design. How is that process being carried out here?
So one is, we run a lot of workshops. That is for entry level makers, people who are passionate about it but don't know much about it. So we called it a 101 series, a beginner series. So every weekend we have a series of workshops across shops. You can do it in woodworking, in pottery, in metalworking, and come and just understand what it is. Over and above that, we are designing curriculum to take people to the next level. So say someone wants to learn either a piece of equipment, they want to learn how to operate something, how to get a design made on a particular machine. That is one track of curriculum. And the other track is people want to know in general, what is the process of product prototyping? How do I go from having an idea to building a proof of concept, to building a prototype, the sourcing, assembly, fabrication, right up till how do I just get before design for manufacturing and assembly. So TWorks, we cater from once you have an idea to just before you go to manufacturing. So we are designing curriculum to handhold people through that process. Now, not everyone can be generalized into one curriculum. Some people say, hey, I already know bits and pieces of this. I need help to finish my product, to improve my product. So in this case, we have 3 engagement models. The first is they come and say, I'm building a robotic arm. I need 4 hours a day on your CNC machine. We allow for that. It's called equipment rental. The second, they say, I don't want to operate your machine, but I have a design. Can you get it fabricated for us? We say, yes, we can. They upload the design, they make the payment, we make the part and we ship it to them. That's called prototyping as a service. Essentially, we've put our machines on the cloud. 15% of all our users are from outside Hyderabad, and over half of all our users have never stepped into the facility. The third, partners come to us and say, we only have an idea. Can we work with you? Can we co-innovate with you and go from idea to a design for manufacturing and assembly product? We say, yes, we can. So that is called a contract product prototyping service that we provide. So either people just want to learn, for which we are curating curriculum and even creating curriculum, and the other is people actually want to get to building, for which, depending on which stage they are in, how much expertise we have these 3 tracks available for them.
Now, these are the 3 areas in which the touch points, so to say, a few words. How is Maker Faire a part of this entire process? Of course, Maker Faire does exist across countries, but how is Maker Faire integrated into this entire process?
Very good question, and that's our plug, so to speak. The number one aim of Maker Faire is awareness. It's to tell. So we'll have about maybe 1,000 makers over here, but we have, I think, already over 20,000 people who've come and visited the facility. So for them to even understand what are the possibilities, that's the first aim. So when they come here, we have various displays across the facility, and we have various volunteers who have brochures and who can tell them how can they come tomorrow and use the facility. So the number one aim of Maker Faire is to spread awareness. The second aim is to create a dense and diverse ecosystem, so that an artist can meet a mechanical engineer, can meet a product designer, can meet a sourcing specialist. And when those creative collisions happen, great products are built. And the third aim is to showcase TWorks capabilities itself as a product design and development facility. So they come here and they see, oh, if I want to build a medical device, an unmanned aerial vehicle, a complex robotic machine, I can come here and build it or get it built. So I think, Maker Faire, we are also using Maker Faire to sort of talk about TWorks, to sort of talk about the Hyderabad ecosystem, which is, when you look at the space, it's really, really strong, and not a lot of people knew about that. And yesterday we had people from all over India, from makerspaces across India, come here to TWorks. And we also, want to tell them that makerspaces are important in the general context of Indian creativity and innovation, and we are also here to support them across the country. So TWorks is, not only for Telangana, the government of Telangana has built it, but it is for India as a whole. So these are the 4 messages that we convey.
On today's Maker Faire and yesterday's also, you see a lot of families come in with children, etc. Is that also something by design? Because the workshops, you have a range of workshops. Could you start by telling us about the ideas behind the different range of workshops and the style and types of workshops which are being organized here?
Thank you for asking. I really wanted to talk about it. TWorks is not just an incubator or an innovation center. Our vision is to create and celebrate a culture of making in India for people who explore and experiment without the fear of failure. So,
very, very, very relevant in Indian context.
Very relevant. I mean, when I was growing up, I'm sure when all of us were growing up, if we get an F in our examination paper, it's considered a taboo. It's considered a taboo to talk about failure at home. But the irony is, when you're building something, when you're creating something, you are bound to fail before you succeed. Like Thomas Edison said, I didn't fail 99 times. I know 99 ways how not to build a bulb. So the reason a lot of the big focus of Maker Faire is children is because that culture will start from childhood. And not only the children, we also want to impress upon the parents that if sparking creativity in your child has now become sort of a necessity, whether you're looking at a career option, whether you're looking at any profession, even if it's entrepreneurship. So that has to be nurtured. a lot of the workshops here are designed for children, and sometimes some workshops are a combination of children and parents, so they can work with each other, they can build things with each other. There is this innate fun in building things, and you bring people together. So someone asked us, what is your target audience? We say it ranges from 5 years right up to students, makers, working professionals, entrepreneurs, even corporate use our facility. And if you want to create a culture, I think we are curating programs, curating workshops, having various touch points to touch each of these, so to speak, demographies, or each of these sections of society. And that's why, while you have contract product prototyping, which is very serious, you also have a maker fair, which is a lot of fun, and they get to meet each other. And people realize, if I start with passion, if I start with fun, this is the path I can take to actually becoming a serious product developer.
Now, My Startup TV has been in the domain of encouraging startups and innovation, etc. How much of what is happening at TWorks is also part of encouraging the startup and innovation ecosystem?
I think about 45 to 50% of all our users are registered startups. So I think, by virtue of being a startup, you will know that startups always hustle, founders always hustle. And they are the first ones to keep their eyes and ears open for opportunities that will accelerate their development. So even before we inaugurated the space this year in March, startups started coming and using it. So I think it has been the easiest to work with startups. And the beauty is, we tell the startup, because they are already creative, we tell them, what do you want us to do so that you succeed? So the equipment rental, the suggestion came from the startup. And the first pieces of equipment that were rented out were the advanced CNC machines. And instead of investing 1 crore on one CNC, they invested a few lakhs to hire an operator and a programmer. And they told us, hey, if you create this program, it'll be very beneficial for us. So we created that program. One startup came and said, along with the fabrication and design facilities, please give us a pre-compliance facility. So pre-compliance means once you build a product, you have to test it. It has to undergo some certifications so that you can export it. You have CE certifications and things like that. So they said certification is very expensive. We don't want certification. Before we do the certification, we want to make sure we pass those tests. Can you buy that equipment? The entire pre-compliance lab that we set up here is from feedback from a startup. So I would say startups are not only users of TWorks, they are our partners, and we are growing with the startup, and thanks to suggestions from the startup.
Also, we have seen a lot of installations, art installations across this, and I just want you to have our audience also to have a look at this art installation here. How did the idea of this particular art installation happen? And wonderful architecture. This is, I think, it's Harsha Guruguda. What is the objective behind having art installations here?
So I think if you see Harsha's work, he's built these art installations, and he has displayed it across the world, in the UK, in the United States, in various parts of Europe, in Germany. And the beauty is, he's a Hyderabad-based startup. He's a Hyderabad-based artist. And what better place to showcase it than TWorks? So when people see it, they say, wow. They assume that it is a European artist, or it is a foreign artist. Or they say, okay, maybe the artist is based out of Bombay or Delhi. But then they realize that this artist is based out of Hyderabad. And then they start looking up, and then they say, hey, there are opportunities for art in Hyderabad itself. Even if you see the installations outside by Ramdev Garu, he has a 150-acre plot of land where he makes all these installations as a passion. And we came in touch with him through the HMDA, through the state government. And when our designers visited, they said, it's an amazing space. Even they didn't know such a space existed. So it's again the awareness, right? It's about saying internationally renowned artists and artwork is right here next door. जैसे कहते हैं घर की मुर्गी दाल बराबर. You don't know that you have this creativity, this innovation already there. And I think our aim is to bring them, at least tell our guys that, hey, there's a Hyderabadi international artist, and if you're interested, you should definitely get in touch with them. And these artists are so open. They say that we would love to get in touch with young, passionate designers, and enthusiastic artists who may want to pursue it as a profession, and we'd love to help them out. So I think it's also bringing that awareness and creating that ecosystem.
Absolutely. And design is a part of everyday life. Cityscapes, landscapes, public spaces. Every space needs to have that element of design which adds beauty, which adds innovative thought also behind it. And thank you so much for having these installations here for all the public to see. And one last question. What's going to happen to TWorks in terms of plans over the next 1 year, 2 years? We did hear some news about new collaborations happening.
Yes. So I think so far we've received great support from both state and central government, from corporates, and it's a validation of the direction we are taking. So TWorks as an entity, we've decided to double down on what we are doing. So the first thing is we are increasing the value of the equipment, of the prototyping capabilities by at least 10 times. So we started off with 10 crores of equipment. We are expanding that to 110 crores worth of equipment. Hopefully by next year, this time, you will see a large portion of that already installed and commissioned. So we are increasing the value of the equipment. Second, we are adding a little more space. We are currently a 78,000 square foot facility.
There's a new facility coming.
Yes, so just beside this building, we are proposing to add another 30,000 square feet. It's called a dirty process outpost for your woodworking, welding, chemical etching. We are going to have forging and glass blowing as well. So that is also in the works. The proposal is in the works. And the third is to continue to build the product team for two reasons. One is while we do prototyping, I think people also need support in when to use the equipment, how to use it, with what materials to use it. So building the product team is important to support the community and also for us to push the envelope. If there are startups who are reluctant to pursue a particular technology, I think we should first experiment that internally in-house, and that's what our product team can do. We can afford to take risks. So we take the most risks and then we disseminate that knowledge. So I think it's equipment, it's the facility, and it's the team. And to summarize, I think we are going to grow fairly rapidly in the next 1 year. And by next year, this time, we'll become the world's largest prototyping center.
It's absolutely wonderful ambition. And from my Startup TV and all the audiences in Hyderabad and Telangana and across India, we wish you all the best in that. And thank you so much for taking time and giving us, the audiences on the Maker Faire Day 2, the lowdown on what is happening at Maker Faire, at TWorks, and the entire design ecosystem across Telangana. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.